What's going on, everybody? This is Shok. I apologize for the very shitty lighting right now, but it is what it is. Just got done watching Nintendo's thing, but I'm going to start off with talking about Sony's conference because I wasn't able to do my review video last night. And I actually haven't watched Microsoft's yet, so I might not even bother with a Microsoft review, but I might go back and watch Microsoft's conference, then come back and do a review video on later. Honestly, I don't think most of you guys really care. But from what I've heard from Microsoft's conference, I heard that it was pretty decent. It was a decent conference, what I've heard. But Sony's, let me just say this. Sony knocked it out the goddamn park. And really, it's really kind of, it's starting to get, it's sad too, but it's starting to get kind of redundant to say that Sony even won E3 because they don't really have competition. I mean, while Microsoft hasn't been doing bad, recently they definitely been doing much better than they've been doing for, the latter half of the 360's life cycle. Because remember when the whole Kinect shit started coming in and all the conferences were literally about Kinect and apps and media and all this shit, not games. They've been doing a lot better than that, but I'm still just not able to hold a candle to what Sony's been showing. And it's mostly because of the whole exclusive things and the PC stuff going on later on. But I'll probably do a separate video on that, how I feel about the whole Scorpio situation and Microsoft putting all their games on PC as well. I'll do a video about that stuff later. But Sony's conference was very, very good. It wasn't the best thing out there. We've had a couple better conferences before in the past from other companies, from all three or whatever. But that was a very, very good conference. Just started out the gate with games. Then games. And the main reason why I was really impressed with Sony's conference, if you guys have been watching me for some years now, you would know that usually I critique Sony for having horrible pacing in their conferences. They've always had horrible pacing. They've always had segments where they talk, for way too long. And they always break up the pacing with these montages that they'll just randomly show. Like, here's a montage of all the games we just showed. Then they'll announce some more games, and then they'll show another montage with the games they just announced. Like, why didn't you just put all that into one montage at the end, right? Sony's always montage happy. At this year's E3, there was none of that. None of that bad pacing. None of that stupid, let's stroke our e-cocks right now, their egos or whatever. It was very straightforward. Hey, we're Sony. Games. And that was the conference. And that's what an E3 conference should be. And to all the Nintendo fans out there talking about E3 is irrelevant, fuck stage presentations, stuff like that, I don't know how you could honestly sit there, watch Sony's conference and not, miss that. You see what I mean? To not have some level of envy for the Sony fans. Because they just got fucking treated. That was a treat for Sony fans. I wish Sony was my primary, company of choice. And my primary console. I guess they are now since the PS4 is getting my most gaming time. But you guys know what I mean. I still enjoy Nintendo's games the most, unfortunately. I wish it were some other way. That way I could just, fully appreciate and enjoy what Sony's been doing, what they've shown. But that was a great conference. I don't know how any Nintendo fan could look at that and be like, nope, what Nintendo's doing is fine. I love these digital events and I love the treehouse. Did y'all see that E3 conference? And let me not even use Sony because you guys aren't going to accept that simply because it's Sony. Go back and watch Nintendo at E3 2010. Go back and watch that conference and tell me you guys don't want that Nintendo back. You can't tell me that with a straight face. You can't tell me that you don't want them to get back on stage. That was an amazing conference. You guys remember E3 2010? Nintendo killed it. They fucking killed it that year. It was amazing. Unfortunately, haven't had a year like that since. But let me get on with the actual review of why Sony's conference was great. First, they start off the gate with God of War. Now, here's the thing about God of War. Personally, I'm not a huge God of War fan. And if you guys have me added on Facebook, you've probably seen me mention a couple times that I don't care if they announce a new God of War. I'd prefer them actually not to. I was like, I'm kind of done with this series. I don't want another God of War. It's just going to be redundant and forced, whatever they do, right? But then they come out with this God of War game that looks very different. And I'm actually I love the change they've made to the gameplay. I saw a lot of people talking about this isn't God of War. They ruined the series. Me personally, I'm excited that they changed the gameplay because if it was the exact same thing we've gotten from God of War 1, God of War 2, God of War 3, Chains of Olympus, Ghosts of Sparta, God of War Ascension, all have the same gameplay. You're mashing. You're just mashing the square button and shit, and then you're weakening the enemy, low enough, and then you press the prompt to finish them off. It's literally been that way for 6 God of War games straight. I was getting very tired of that gameplay. So the fact that they're mixing it up, and not even mixing it up, it's completely different. It's a lot more, it's like slower pace and kind of like more strategic looking, a lot more kind of like Dark Souls oriented. I love it, and it actually makes me interested in God of War again, when previously I was so done with the series in my mind. I really was. But this game looks great. I'm excited to see more. The story's going to be pretty interesting too. And the way Kratos came out the shadows, like that was really cool because I was watching, the live stream and everyone in the chat was like, "Oh, it's Horizon," and I said it was Horizon too. I was like, "Oh, this is Horizon. I can't wait to see Horizon." And then Kratos came out the shadows. I was like, "Oh shit, it's God of War." The whole reveal was just kind of cool. I'm not even a God of War fan. Detroit Become Human, the new game from what's it, Quantic Dreams, I think their name is. Yeah. Not into games like that, the type of games they make, but I will say that this is probably the most interesting one that I have seen. I still would not buy a game like this, but it's really cool. I like how it's not just, you have like 3 options, 3 possible endings for the situation. It looks like there's like 50 possible things. So basically, I did enjoy how open-ended this experience, I'll call it that, looked. Days Gone looks pretty cool. Could be interesting. I think this game could potentially be a hit or miss. It's either going to be really, really good or it's going to get really redundant quickly and get boring, depending on how many different gameplay elements are and what you can do. But I will say that game has one of the most impressive zombie hordes in a video game that I've ever seen. The way they were just kind of like on top of each other and shit, it was some like World War Z looking stuff. It looked really cool. Had to see more of that game. So far, looks like it has a lot of potential. Horizon Zero Dawn. Now, this is pretty much the #1 game I know of, shown, announced, all that I'm actually looking forward to. This game looks absolutely incredible. Guerrilla is doing a great job with this game. Holy shit. I can't wait. The open world elements, amazing. The way she tied down the little ram machine thing, and she like put something in its head and little staff head, and she kind of like hacked it, and like turned it like friendly, and she was able to ride it. Like that was just so cool. The gameplay just looks smooth. You have a lot of tools at your disposal. The world looks beautiful. The creature design, I guess you could call them creatures. The creature design is just absolutely amazing. Everything about this game is just, it's one of those games like in a sea full of like generic shooters and all this stuff that's going on. It's like, yes, something fresh, something new. Like it's so unique. It's just a breath of fresh air, and I love it. I just can't wait to get my hands on this game. Unfortunately, it's been delayed, but I can wait. Then they showed Lego Star Wars: The Force Awakens. That's gonna be a pretty dope Lego game for those of you who are into those games. I've never bought a Lego game in my life, but they're Lego games are fun. You can't really diss a Lego game. Resident Evil 7. Personally, I don't give 2 shits about Resident Evil. I stopped caring about Resident Evil really after 4. But still, regardless, it was a reveal trailer or whatever. So Sony gets points for it, and of course, it's going to support first-person VR. That might be interesting. Pretty cool. I wouldn't personally mess around with anything like that, but yeah. Death Stranding. Hideo Kojima just came out. It was really hyped because we're like, oh my god, we're going to see his game, but we should have known better than to actually expect to see like gameplay or something like that. But that aside, the concept, whatever the fuck it is, at least is very interesting. If there's one thing I could say about that trailer, although it was just completely CG, gameplay, anything like that, I could say that, damn, I'm really interested on what the fuck the story is in this game. You see what I mean? Kojima, man, he's just a weirdo. He's just a weird guy, and he has a freaking Redis in there. This game's it should be pretty interesting. I can't wait to see the actual game itself. Show some Skylander stuff. Crash Bandicoot re-release. Now, I was a little salty about this at first, but then I thought about it. I was like, well, if they're remaking, then obviously this could be the beginning of an actual brand new Crash. You see what I mean? But yeah, he came on stage and like Crash's shadow was like following him while he was walking. It was like really cool, and they had the music in the background. I was like, oh my god! I really should have live streamed it, but I was in Discord with some friends and they could tell y'all I was like pretty excited. I was like, no way. No way! I know they're not bringing Crash back. No way! But they are to a certain extent. But if you guys didn't know, what they're doing is that they're remaking the original 3 Crash games from the ground up. They're not taking the assets that already exist, the game that already exists, and just upscaling it to HD or whatever. They're actually remaking these games ground up. So it's pretty much going to be like the Ratchet & Clank game that just came out for PS4. They're going to get that treatment. Yes, finally we're going to get a chance to have a true revival of Crash. I feel like they're just kind of doing these things, doing these remasters of the first 3 to kind of buy themselves time to make an actual original Crash game. Either that or they're using these remakes to test the waters of the interest that people have for Crash, But either way, guys, I understand some of you could be disappointed that it's not a brand new game, but you should still be happy regardless, because this shows that, hey, they've at least been listening and there's interest. And now there's actual possibility that we could finally get a new Crash game after all these years. That new Spider-Man game from Insomniac. Yes. Why can't we get more licensed video games that look like this? It looks like an actual quality licensed game. I guess we just need to start giving these licensed games to better developers, because this game looks like the Spider-Man game we've always imagined and dreamed of, That Spider-Man game looks freaking incredible. I cannot wait to see more of that. Game looks lit as fuck. That's all I can say. That game looks freaking amazing. Last Guardian, I really don't care. I know a lot of you guys are hyped for that. Doesn't really look like my cup of tea. And then they also show Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Now, here's the thing about this, right? I was watching the live stream on Twitch, and when the demo first started for this game, everyone was like, oh, this is great. This looks amazing. But then once they realized it was Call of Duty, all of a sudden, everyone's like tone like shifting. They're like, LOL, COD is shit, rip COD. I was like, wait a minute. Before y'all knew it was COD, though, y'all were saying that this shit looks really cool. See what I'm saying? A lot of people trying to be fake, trying to flip flop. You guys know me. I don't give 2 shits about COD, but I gotta say, at least that particular showing of Infinite Warfare looked pretty good. It did. I'm just being honest, and again, I'm one of those COD bashers. I'm one of those people who says, COD's been dead and yada yada. I thought Black Ops 3 looked really interesting, and I said I was going to buy it. I actually never ended up doing it, by the way, because by the time I wanted to get it, all my friends stopped playing. So, but this Infinite Warfare, it surprisingly looks good, and I never would have thought I would have said that, because that first trailer they showed didn't really look like anything special. But this one, and it's crazy how EA and DICE wants to always talk shit about Call of Duty. It's like, at least we got our space battles over here in Call of Duty, and y'all couldn't give us that shit in fucking, Star Wars Battlefront, you know what I mean? But Infinite Warfare actually looks pretty good. Like, I can't even lie. You guys need to stop fronting. But yeah, overall, solid-ass conference. The only bad part was, like, the VR stuff, but that not even bad as in what they showed wasn't good or interesting looking. It's just that I personally don't care about VR. But even then, they didn't spend too much time on it. You see what I mean? So I'm able to just look over that and forgive that. But the rest of the conference was just so very, very solid and just great game after great game. The Spider-Man, the Crash reboots, saw some more Final Fantasy 15, showed, I would say, the concept for Kojima's new game, Death Stranding, Resident Evil 7 reveal trailer, Horizon, Days Gone, the new God of War, Detroit. And the crazy thing is that they didn't even show Sucker Punch's game or Naughty Dog's game that they're working on right now, which I believe is Last of Us 2. So they did this amazing ass conference without like 2 of their biggest hitter studios. You see what I mean? So that's just amazing. I can't wait for next year to see Last of Us 2 and whatever Sucker Punch is working on. But yeah, that's one of the best conferences that we've had in a long time. I don't see how anyone could say Sony didn't win the E3. They won it hands down, no questions asked. I guess you just, I don't know. I just don't know how you could prefer the content that was, not necessarily prefer the content, because yeah, you could prefer the games shown in other conferences. But I'm saying as far as the quantity of games, the quantity of new games, the quantity of exclusives, and then the quality of all those, like, Sony knocked it out the park. That's all I can say. But those are my thoughts on Sony's conference, guys. I'll probably be doing a video later on about Microsoft's, and I'll also be doing one about Nintendo. So look forward to that. But those are my thoughts on Sony, guys. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'll see y'all later.